Bob Nobles of the 82nd Airborne remembered the flight over the English Channel being uneventful. "We were all thinking," he said. A lieutenant walked the aisle, talking to everyone, trying to both cheer the men up and calm them down, but Nobles did not appreciate it. I almost told him to sit down. When the red light by the fuselage door lit up the cabin shortly after midnight, Nobles and his 16-man group stood up and hooked their static lines to the anchor cable running the length of the cabin and checked the preceding man's equipment. The red light went off, replaced by a green one, and the men charged out the door. Nobles could see tracers coming up and trees below him, but he did not have time to take it all in. "By the time my chute opened up, I was on the ground," he said. Landing in a farmer's field all alone, he immediately unhooked his parachute, then removed the reserve chute on his chest, which blocked him from his rifle. He threw his gas mask, correctly thinking he would never need it. Relieved of this equipment, he took off on foot until he came across another paratrooper. "Don't shoot, don't shoot!" shouted the man. "I'm from Kokomo, Indiana. I forgot the password." Nobles just laughed at the panicked soldier. Nobles had no idea where he was. Like most of the 508th Paratroop Regiment, he had missed his designated drop zone after the specialized pathfinders, who set guidelights for the unit's landings, ran into the German 91st Infantry Division and sustained heavy casualties. The surviving pathfinders only managed to set up 2 lights and 1 radar transponder that let aircraft know where to drop the paratroopers. Meaning Nobles and his group landed 10 miles from their designated drop zone.
Tom Rice of the 101st Airborne of the United States military was the last one to board the aircraft at Merrifield Aerodrome. 9 out of 11 C-47 aircraft set off in the form of 3 V-shaped Vs, each one containing 3 planes. "I slightly remember General Eisenhower on the field to give us a visit and stepped out of his entourage to salute us as we passed by," said Rice. "On takeoff, all the engine and materials started to rattle. I thought the whole machinery was going to come apart on us." At 5,000 feet, the entire armada assembled and made the 2-hour journey from England to the landing zones in mainland Europe, dropping down to 1,500 feet to get under German radar. I looked out the door of the aircraft, and a red light came on, giving approximately 8 minutes to be ready to jump. The 18 men hooked themselves onto the steel cable above as the lieutenant checks the men's readiness, as they themselves checked the equipment, and braced themselves. The 1,600 pounds of equipment dropped from the bottom of the C-47, lifting it 150 feet up in the air as Rice jumped out. My left arm got caught in the lower left-hand corner of the door. I swung out from that point, swung back in and hit the side of the aircraft. Swung out again and back in again. I turned just enough to get my arm loose," said Rice. Making about 2 or 3 oscillations, he hit the ground, rolling forward while the reserve parachute enveloped him. He tried to release the metal clasps on the parachute harness, but it didn't work, so Rice cut it with his knife. Rice and the second and third men from his plane landed close together. Crossing a small canal, he and the 2 men made their way onto a road when 60 men turned up on his left. His company was spread over tens of kilometers and didn't get together for an entire week. "We didn't see the company commander for a week and a half. So we played cat and mouse. We had a lot of fun destroying enemy communications. As best we could, everywhere we could," said Rice.
The 82nd Airborne boarded their designated aircraft. For me, I was the last one on because had a leg pack of 20 pounds of explosive tied to my leg, accounts Henry Langrehr. With the Pathfinders dropping first and setting waypoints, the Germans were warned of their imminent invasion. As his C-47 passed German coastal and inland defenses, the flak batteries started firing. "They were pretty accurate," he said. "They lit up the sky like the 4th of July. I saw a couple of our planes go down. One exploded. I saw one plane almost disintegrate next to us. It got hit direct. One shell hit the wingtip of his plane, shrapnel killing 2 men inside. We took a lot of flak. Before his plane got to mainland Europe, Henry recounts looking down to the ocean floor, seeing hundreds and thousands of boats. Boats all over. I swear I could have walked to France on the boats, he said. Over the C-47s were the bombers and above them the fighter aircraft flew. We could never lose this war, thought Henry, seeing the armada of vessels below and the hundreds of aircraft in the sky. He dropped down from the aircraft and landed in Saint-Mère-Église, 10 miles from Carentan. On impact he crashed through the glass panels of a greenhouse, the leg pack going through first, so he took no injuries. The greenhouse was in the grounds of a big stone house, a stone wall surrounding it. I jumped over the wall into a churchyard. He saw his fellow countryman John Steele, who was stuck atop the steeple of the church, tangled by his parachute. But remembering his mission to secure the La Fière bridge 3 kilometers west of the town center, he carried on. If they couldn't hold the bridgehead, then Henry's job was to blow it. With no one around, he checked the bridge for explosives, thinking the Germans probably had it wired. He got information that the 508 Parachute Infantry Regiment had got there first, having made a better landing. They had already taken the bridge, so I didn't have to do anything. Just act as infantry, he said.